This is the world of the campus vets.
In a human patient, they're actually going to try to cure you. We're trying to buy good quality time.
Spencer has been regurgitating a lot of seeds. I am a very petite woman, and that horse is very tall.
At the Western College of Veterinary Medicine, students must cope with medical emergencies and worried animal owners under real-life conditions. Michelle Palmer has a special bond with her 4-year-old boxer, Tess.
I think she's part human sometimes. She rather sometimes be with us than other dogs, but very loyal.
The loyalty goes both ways. Michelle has driven hours to the college to find out what is causing Tess to suffer from epileptic-type seizures. Minutes after arriving, Tess is gripped by a violent attack.
I'm good when she's having the seizure. I'm calm, you know, because you have to be, but after it bothers me.
She's having very violent seizures, which have been hard to control with the medications. And now she's not just having one seizure at a time, they're coming in runs, which we call cluster seizures.
So that's when they first started, it was April 2004.
Okay.
Faculty veterinarian Dr. Elizabeth Sneed and student Mark Fuller suspect Tess may have something far worse than epilepsy.
So there's potentially two types of cancer. One could be originating in the brain, and one could be originating out and then have metastasized to the brain. So the best way to look for a tumor within the brain would be an MRI.
If you don't treat a dog like her, she could certainly die from the actual seizure activity itself, or she could die from effects of the seizure.
I want to know what's going on with her so I know what's best to do for her.
It's hard to say goodbye.
She's probably like my best friend.
Spencer is no ordinary budgie. She's an amputee.
She, one day when I was cleaning her cage, flew out and landed on my parrot's cage, and she grabbed her legs and pulled them into the cage and broke one off, so she needed surgery to have those removed.
Shay Long had a special cage made to help Spencer adapt to her disability.
She's just a very strong little individual who's got to prove something, I think.
Lately, Spencer has been throwing up a lot.
So a little bit concerned about that. I just thought, we should get her checked out and make sure that everything is okay with her.
Going to the veterinary college is a daily routine for Shay. She works there as a receptionist. So she and Spencer will have to put in time behind the desk until their appointment. This is 6-year-old Deezer's favorite spot, a place where he reigns over his suburban domain.
He is the neighborhood watchdog.
But the faithful Basset Hound's days as a sentry are coming to an end. Owner Kathy Peterson recently found out Deezer is going blind.
Because of the treatment that we started right away, we were able to save the vision in his eye to this point. That's a good boy. Hey, get your eye drops.
Deezer has glaucoma in his right eye. The disease would progress rapidly without the medication Kathy has been applying around the clock.
With glaucoma, it will go to the other eye. It's just a matter of time. Okay, are you ready to go to the college? Hey, okay.
There is one last chance to save some of Deezer's sight. An innovative new procedure could delay the progression of the disease by a few years.
This is my baby. We have to do whatever it takes. We'll try anything at this point.
The veterinary team is trying to figure out what is causing Tess's violent seizures. They run her through a series of tests, including a neurological exam.
It's all in the aim of trying to find out where we would localize the disease within her nervous system. That's normal. You see those eye movements?
Yeah.
All of her cranial nerves seem to be intact. So I would say her neurologic exam is pretty normal.
They move on to x-rays. A tumor somewhere in Tess's body could be triggering the seizures.
The chest looks normal. That's good news as far as what I can see.
Neither x-rays nor ultrasound detect the presence of tumors.
Nice and unremarkable and normal looking.
The attention shifts to Tess's brain.
Whether she has epilepsy or she has a tumor, those are all possibilities, and that's why we need advanced imaging like an MRI to have a look at what her brain actually looks like.
Ready to go? We're ready to go, I think. Okay.
If they do find a tumor, Tess is facing a far bigger battle than epilepsy. She'll be fighting brain cancer.
Spencer has been regurgitating a lot of seeds. Recently, I found like seeds and mucus kind of splattered all over her cage.
Faculty veterinarian Dr. Denelyn Parker and Shay round up Spencer for her physical exam.
Oh, wrong choice. Wrong choice. I know. I know. I know. This is gonna be terrible. It's gonna be the worst thing ever. So I'm going down into the crop.
The crop is a sac below the beak. That's where food is first digested before moving down into the stomach.
I pass a crop tube and flush a little bit of saline in and then suck it back to get a sample of the fluid that's in her crop. And then the idea is to look at it under the microscope and see if there's any bacteria or any parasites. Well, it's pretty normal.
So far, Shay is pleased with how the exam is going, but Spencer's not.
She holds a grudge like no other. They're very smart, and I think that you can really hurt their feelings.
Coming up,
Worst case scenario is he'd be lame for life. Best case is we find out what's wrong and we can fix it.
Deezer is undergoing innovative surgery to delay the onset of blindness caused by glaucoma. He's already lost 30% of his sight. Without surgery, he'd be totally blind within months.
This dog still has vision. If this eye was already blind, you wouldn't see me putting a shunt in it. The shunt is entirely to keep this eye visual.
Faculty ophthalmologist Dr. Bruce Grawn has patented a draining device called a shunt. It relieves the painful eye pressure caused by the disease.
We can adjust the pressure in the eye, and it basically takes out the need for glaucoma medication.
The adjustable valve shunt is a flexible tube inserted through a hole drilled in the sinus cavity.
This is the shunt. Now I'm going to go over to the eye. I'm going to put it in the eye.
Positioning a tiny tube in a Bassett's big droopy eye is a challenge.
Kind of like chasing a jelly bean around the bottom of a pail of water or something, you know? All right, next thing we're going to do is decide how long we're going to cut the tube.
Once the tube is sutured into place, it begins to relieve some of the pressure.
You can see the tube lying there very nicely. And we're praying that our pressure is where it should be. And I'm going to be happy if it's anywhere between 12 and 25 tomorrow.
The tube will allow fluid to drain, but if it gets clogged, the pressure in Deezer's eye could skyrocket. If that happens, Deezer will need another surgery. But for now, it's time to go home.
Oh my gosh, his tongue is hanging out.
Oh yeah, he's snoozing pretty good.
Oh, honey.
Kathy will have to wait to see if Deezer's surgery is a success.
I just want to know that he's okay.
Tess is having an MRI done to rule out the possibility of a brain tumor.
MRI stands for magnetic resonance imaging, and it allows us to look at soft tissue parts of the brain.
As the first images appear, the cause of Tess's seizures begins to materialize.
There is a mass. It's most likely a tumor, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's really sad. I was so hoping it would be clean.
I know.
I'm sad. I was hoping we would find nothing. But on the other hand, it helps because we have an answer.
Okay, bye.
So far, Dr. Parker has found nothing to explain Spencer's vomiting.
So, next step. We're gonna try to take blood from her.
Infections will show up with a blood test. So will zinc toxicity. Pet birds can get sick if they chew on metal toys or parts of their cage that are made with zinc.
Oh my goodness. If you take too much too quickly, then their body will go into shock. So you have to be really careful about how much blood you can take.
She says, I've had a really crappy day. Hopefully we'll get the blood work back on Monday and then kind of go from there on whether or not, you know, she's got something going on or I'm just being neurotic.
This is the second time Deezer has returned to the operating table since his eye surgery. First, to flush out a block in the tube. Now, the tube needs to be repositioned.
Somehow, last night during sleeping time, Deezer managed to move his tube out of the eye. So we have to today reoperate and fasten that tube back in the front of the eye.
It's been a long haul for Deezer's owner, Kathy Peterson. Her dog has required daily visits to the college and round-the-clock home care.
That's my biggest fear, is that we've done all this and then there won't be, you know, sight.
I think these things are stressful on the owner. I really do. Well, hopefully we're done this time.
After several surgeries and setbacks, Deezer's eyes will soon be put to the final test. Calvin Mason has worked as a barnman at the college for the past 20 years. His wife Paula recently joined him on the job.
We take care of the animals, we clean up after them, we feed them, we help the vets if they need us to hold something.
But now the tables have turned. The Masons need the veterinarian's help in diagnosing their horse, a 6-year-old Clydesdale named Duke.
Duke is a big, clumsy oaf. You know, here I am, pick me, love me, I'm wonderful. I always call him the Duke of Earl.
Hey, sweetie.
Duke has a lame left foot. Student Jenny Civic is assigned to find out why.
It's a very big horse. I am 5'0". I'm a very petite woman, and that horse is very tall. My blood pressure's through the roof right now. My heart's going. Very uncomfortable, but I do trust this horse I'm working with, somewhat.
After consulting with her supervising veterinarian, Jenny conducts a lameness exam to see if she can get to the source of Duke's problem.
Worst case scenario is he'd be lame for life. Best case is we find out what's wrong and we can fix it.
You can't work a horse that's lame. He'd be a pasture decoration. Is he feeling good? Is he happy? And if your foot is always sore when you're moving, no, you're not happy.
There you go.
Next.
It's always pretty devastating when you have to give someone that kind of news.
The veterinary team discusses treatment options for a brain tumor in a dog named Tess.
We're just having both of the surgeons just evaluate whether or not this mass is operable or not.
Well, it's so big and it's so into here. You know, if you think of it maybe started in the center and it grew out.
Due to its size and location, the tumor will be extremely challenging to remove. Dr. Sneed must break the bad news to Tess's owner, Michelle Palmer.
Unfortunately, we did find something in her brain, an intracranial lesion, a mass that does explain why she's having seizures. And so you're starting to see the muscles, and this is the
treatment options include surgery, radiation, or chemotherapy. But even if they can shrink or remove the tumor, the chances of curing Tess are remote.
A lot of owners find it and entirely understand.
So if we didn't do anything, what would you give her lifespan?
I would say months at the best. I'm sorry. It's never easy to tell an owner that their pet has cancer. It's always pretty devastating when you have to give someone that kind of news, especially in this case, given that the dog is so young.
Michelle faces an agonizing decision: attempt to treat the cancer or make Tess as comfortable as possible for the rest of her days.
It's a little bit grouchy in the morning.
The blood test results are back for Spencer.
Right now, today, there was nothing really abnormal found with her.
There may be a surprising explanation for Spencer's bouts of throwing up.
Spencer regurgitates on a regular basis, and some budgies will regurgitate when they are being affectionate to their owners. I shouldn't worry about her as much as I do, maybe. But, I mean, I am glad that she's healthy, and hopefully, you know, she'll continue to be that way.
Shay gives so much to the disabled bird that in the end, the regurgitation may be Spencer's only way of returning affection. Deezer and his owner, Kathy Peterson, are regulars at the college.
I've been bringing Deezer here almost on a daily basis. And today, we're having another checkup.
After 3 surgeries and numerous checkups, it's time to find out if Deezer will have his sight for a while longer.
Well, I'm a little anxious. I want Dr. Gron to come and see that his pressure is really good. And
Good morning, Kathy.
hi.
Hey, Deezer.
There's your friend.
Okay, what we're going to do, Kathy, is I'm just going to have a look at Deezer's tube.
The plastic shunt is visible to the naked eye. It's holding its position. But is it doing a good job of draining the fluid?
We've got him to a pressure that's very, very nice now at 13, 14. I expect him to go back to normal life. But he's visual in that eye, and the tube is functioning very, very well, so I'm happy. I'm pleased.
I am too. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, let's go. Let's go home.
Glaucoma will eventually claim Deezer's sight. But with the help of the shunt, he may have a few years left as the neighborhood's favorite watchdog.
Wait.
Student Jenny Civic conducts a lameness test on a Clydesdale named Duke.
He's a big horse. I did not want to get stepped on.
The test shows no obvious indications of an injury, so Jenny tries a pain test on the hoof.
We used the hoof testers to squeeze and see if we could get a painful response, but we couldn't, and it could be we're just not strong enough to make him feel it. I mean, his feet are huge, obviously. So the next step here is radiographs to see if we can see any changes in the bone. Hey, sweetie.
Duke may be a gentle giant, but he still has to be sedated before x-rays are taken.
He might not want to put his foot up on a block, and you can't lift his foot.
Duke's lame leg goes up without a hitch. As Jenny's anxiety around handling Duke decreases, her concern for what she may have to tell his owner, Calvin Mason, grows.
I've seen Calvin for the last 3.5 years of my life, and I know he loves his horses very much, so it's a little bit harder knowing how much he loves them.
Next, a tough decision ahead for Tess's owner.
It's not fair to the dog. She's been so good.
It's been a sleepless night for Michelle Palmer. This morning, she returns to the college with a decision on her dog's fate.
I just don't want to put her through anything. I don't want her to die on a table.
You've already gone further than a lot of owners will go.
Michelle has decided to take Tess home to enjoy what time they have left.
And then I think, well, if I put her through more, is it just for me, which is it's not fair to the dog. She's been so good.
Okay, bye, sweetie.
Good girl.
We're going to change some of her medications a little bit, and we're going to add in another medication just to control any swelling or inflammation around the tumor, to just try to help her feel better.
Duke's x-rays are back. student Jenny Civic must break some distressing news to his owners.
Do you have any questions about the radiograph? Normally your bone should be nice and smooth like you see right here. On this bone, there's a bunch of bony proliferation, so that's abnormal there. So what basically is going on is, it's called ring bone, or it's arthritis. There's actually bone growing into the joint, and that's what's making Duke painful. Is so when he moves, it rubs, he feels it.
The x-rays show ring bone or arthritis in at least one joint. That could be corrected in surgery, but it may be developing in the other foot.
Perhaps in a month or two, we can come back, see if that bottom joint is affected as well. If it is, it carries a very poor prognosis.
It's a waiting game, and only time will tell if Duke's condition gets better or worse. For now, he's going home where he belongs.
I had a couple of ramps put in here and here, so that she would have to go up and down the ladders to help her lose a little bit of weight and give her something to do.